Are you ready for race day 2? Well, let's do it. Welcome to the second race weekend of the DTM season 2025. We are here at the Lausitzring. Looking into the sky, there are quite a few clouds. Let's see if perhaps it's going to rain or not. I think the qualifying session is definitely going to stay dry, but you never know. And the man who did a superb job yesterday is Lukas Auer. He managed to go from pole position to victory, same as he did at Oschersleben. And that also means now that he is the new championship leader, 15 points ahead of Jules Gounon. He's sitting in the car, looking all focused and all ready for this qualifying, because he knows how crucial it is to collect every single point. So let's do it. Let's go qualifying. Here are your commentators.
Thanks, Verena. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to qualifying 2 then here at the Lausitzring. And as Verena said, Lukas Auer, the perfect day yesterday. Pole position, 3 points for that. Race win, 25 points for that. And his second win from 3 races puts him 15 points clear of Jules Gounon, who finished 4th in yesterday's race here at the Lausitzring. So the circuit is an anti-clockwise circuit. It was first opened in 2000. The first DTM race was meant to happen here that year, but monsoon rain stopped it. Bert Schneider was on pole position, but Peter Dumbreck won the first race in 2021. Weather has played its part in the past. In the recent past, we had temperatures of 23, 24 degrees converted into monsoon rain last year on the Saturday. And there was all sorts of carnage and chaos, even a red flag in the race. But it was Kelvin van der Linde in the Audi that came through to win in those changeable conditions last year, on his way to 2nd place in the championship. Thomas Preining had a good weekend here last year as well. Podium on Saturday and a race win on Sunday. But yesterday it was the day of the Mercedes. Lukas Auer taking his 2nd victory of the season. It was actually the first victory for a Mercedes at this track since 2021, where they had a double victory. Philip Ellis and Maxi Goetz got a win each here in 2021. But it's been wide open in terms of qualifying and in terms of races here. We've had 6 different winners from the last 6 races around here, but it was Lukas Auer's turn yesterday. His 4th win at this circuit, his 11th career victory. He had to wait over 2 years between wins number 9 and 10, but then win number 10 came at Oschersleben, and he only had to wait a few more weeks to get his 2nd. Jules Gounon has been super consistent this year, a 2nd, a 4th, a 5th. He's 2nd in the championship on 47 points. And then we've got 2 drivers on 42 points apiece. Hyunjin Nguyen, who is 3rd in the championship, 42 points and a win. And Jordan Pepper, who's slipped to 4th in the championship, also 42 points, and he's had 1 2nd place finish. Maro Engel right behind them as well, after finishing on the podium for the 2nd time this season yesterday. Got 2nd place and was the only real challenger to Lukas Auer yesterday, particularly in the pit stop phase, where he came out in front of Lukas and on cold tyres almost managed to fend off the Austrian driver, but with a dive into turn 1 at the start of the 2nd lap on his new tyres for Maro Engel, when he was just getting up to temperature, Auer pounced, got past him and went on to win the race, even though Maro came back at him for the last 5 or 6 minutes of the race and got the gap back down to about 1.2 seconds in the end. It always looked fairly controlled for Lukas Auer. So Maro Engel 5th in the championship. And after his 50th race in the DTM yesterday, Thomas Preining 6th in the championship with a 6th place finish. He's right behind as well on 40 points. The top 3 from yesterday will have to carry success ballast in the race later, but they do not have to carry it in qualifying. So it's an even playing field for this second 20-minute qualifying session to set the grid for this afternoon's race, which will, these days, the Sunday race, feature 2 mandatory pit stops, not 1. And that could be interesting as well. The weather forecast looks a bit more promising, a lot more promising actually, than it had yesterday. Yesterday, race start time, the forecast was saying there's a 70% chance that there's going to be some rain showers, but it's changed this morning, and that's now been reduced to only a 5% chance there'll be some rain showers. And the rain looks like, if it comes, it's going to come after the race is finished. But we'll see. Things can change. One overnight change to the balance of performance to let you know about as we're looking at Mirko Bortolotti. The Lamborghinis have had their balance of performance weight reduced. None of the Lamborghinis were particularly competitive yesterday. And so rather than carrying a whopping 105 kilograms of BOP, weight, they're now reduced to 90, so they've had 15 kilograms taken off the Lamborghinis, and they'll be hoping that makes an effect for them, a positive one in this qualifying session. So the car's out onto the track. It's just under 13 degrees, so it's very similar temperatures to yesterday, but there's no wind today. It was pretty windy yesterday, and the track temperature is a pretty pleasant 18.2 degrees. So pretty good conditions for the cars as they head out to do what will probably be a couple of recce laps. They'll go back to the pits, let the heat soak into the tyres, and then it will all kick off maybe with about 10 minutes of the session to go. They'll head out, build up the tyre temperatures again, and go for 2 or 3 hot laps to see who ends up on pole position. My name's Chris Hartley, up in the commentary box overlooking the, I can see the whole of the track from this vantage point that we've got on top of the main grandstand here at the circuit. You can see it right down into the pit lane as well. Already the crowds are starting to come in bright and early this morning. Some of them looking a bit tired, it has to be said, particularly those that were on the campsite last night, which was partying late into the night. We had the German Cup final last night as well on the big screens around the circuit. So there was quite a late night, I think, for a lot of people, but they're all here. So I'm Chris Hartley, and alongside me as ever in the commentary box to talk you through this session, it's good morning to Brian Oliver.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, everybody. On this, the busiest day of the year in world motorsport, but an awful lot of people tuning in and on site today to come and watch this qualifying for race 4 of the season for DTM. Yesterday, what a great race that was. Certainly a lot of the focus around the pit stops. That was where we nearly had a big change in the result. Of course, we've got those 2 pit stops in the race this afternoon, but the all-important grid qualifying, as Chris has already said, we're going to go around, we're going to generate the heat into the brakes, get the cars warmed up, and then we're all going to watch them sit in the garage. So get yourself comfortable for about the next 10 minutes, but it is going to kick off. Certainly yesterday in the final minutes of qualifying, it was all changed. Look at this lot all peeling off into the pits. There's a few staying out there, aren't there? So a couple of cars coming around to do another lap. But yeah, grid qualifying, always important in DTM. Start on pole position, you're in with a good shout of taking the win, and Lucas Auer has proven that twice this year already.
Yeah, yesterday Lucas Auer on pole position with a 1 minute 19.827, but he was only 33 thousandths of a second quicker than Riccardo Fella. As we get team radio.
Short wind update. We have at the moment wind going from the south to the north, so on the main straight you will have more side wind.
Yeah, it's picked up a bit, hasn't it? Looking out at the flags across us that are fluttering in the inner paddock, it has picked up, and he's absolutely right. It is a crosswind. So as we look at the circuit from the outside of the start-finish straight, looking at the garages, going from the right to the left. But it was definitely died down when we got here about an hour ago into the commentary box, because it was very windy yesterday morning. So that will affect things. Wind update for the drivers. Lucas Auer then 33 thousandths of a second quicker than Riccardo Fella yesterday, and Maro Engel was only 62 thousandths of a second behind. They're probably the happiest drivers yesterday after qualifying, even though they weren't right at the front, were René Rast and Marco Wittmann, who qualified 5th and 7th in the BMWs, bearing in mind that René Rast's average grid last year was 13th, and at Oschersleben he qualified 15th and 16th. They've really struggled to unlock the tyres on the BMW and get the heat into them quickly enough for qualifying. They found something, clearly, because 5th yesterday was a good effort, and having finally got a decent grid position, René Rast made the most of it, had a good start, got up then into 3rd place and got his first podium of the season. It was a bit of a disappointing race, well, a very disappointing race in the end for Riccardo Fella, wasn't it, Brian? He lost a few places at the start. He got back into it. He even got back up to 3rd place, having dropped to 5th at one point, although there may have been a little bit of contact with René Rast coming out onto the start-finish straight. But then he lost all power, didn't he, just after the pit stops, and retired the car.
Yes, it was such a real shame to see him retire in Eileen, the legendary car that he won the GT Masters title in 2021. But he'll be hoping for better things today. Didn't actually get an opportunity to talk to him yesterday to find out whether he dropped back under advice from his team or not, so to avoid a penalty. But yesterday is history. It's all full focus ahead now. Good to see the Audi yesterday troubling the front runners. Certainly be hoping for some more of that today.
Yeah, and it's a pretty solid day for Jack Aitken, qualified 6th. He dropped to 8th at the start of the race, but made his way. We did get back to ahead of Jules Gounon before the pit stop phase, but lost a bit of time in the pits and ended up in 7th position. Jack saying that's kind of about where the car is around here this weekend. That's about as much as we could have got out of it. Maybe we could have got a top 6, but not much more. But he was involved in a really entertaining fight with Thomas Preininger. And Gounon got involved in that fight as well. They were all ganging up on poor Ricardo Feller on his cold tyres after he came out of his pits at one point as well. The other driver that would have been very disappointed yesterday was Mirko Bortolotti. There was, well, not the only one. I mean, there was a pile-up at turn 1, which wiped out straight away Maurice Schuring and Luca Engstler. They retired at the end of lap 1. Great car control from Jordan Pepper. He got properly slammed into, and the car was sideways. Then as he corrected it, he hit Arjun Maini, and both of those were delayed, but they both got into the points, with Jordan coming 11th in the end, and that was despite a penalty as well later on for speeding in the pit lane, and also points scored for a second time this season in the Mustang for Arjun Maini. And as I say, others were disappointed. Mirko Bortolotti had got through all that carnage at the first corner, and he actually had a good start, didn't he? He got from 14th up to 9th, but then he was involved in an incident as well.
Yeah, and we're going to be trying to avoid some of those. Certainly that first corner in the race is always an area where we get a bit of drama. You come out off the pit straight, and then it's a really tight turn into turn 1. It's slightly downhill. The track really narrows. You often see drivers on the grass and kicking up the dirt. And say yes, yesterday, beginning of the race, it was such a shame to have lost drivers. One encouragement for the Mustangs, though, certainly they have been saying that the beginning of this year, much of this year, is about developing that Mustang, getting it up to speed, but certainly mixing it amongst the fancied runners as well. So a bit of pace for the Mustangs team radio.
We're the second car on track. Good warm up now. Be aggressive on tire warm.
Edited version.
There's Mirko Bortolotti then, yeah. Contact yesterday from Thierry Vermeulen, who got 3 runs through the penalty box for it, which dropped Mirko down the order. Still scored some points in the race. But a difficult start to the season for the defending champion, as I have to get used to running the Lamborghini Huracan this season in DTM format. And as I say, the Lamborghini's all lightened today, so we'll see how that goes with 15 kilograms less BOP weight on the cars. And Mirko was quick here in a test at the start of the month, quickest of all the 10 DTM drivers that were here, but it was on a much warmer day, and the team was saying that the car just wasn't handling anything like as well as it was when we were here in warm conditions. It felt like a different car. Lots of drivers have said, and we spoke to Jack Aitken about this yesterday, that the track feels just strange. The grip on the track is strange, and we have got the European Truck Racing Championship as one of the support series this weekend. Big, wide Goodyear tyres on those cars, and that may be affecting things as well. So cars heading around. Just to update you on the other championship points while we're waiting for speed to become a key issue here in qualifying, because it's not yet. The rookie championship has been led by Ben Durr. He's had 3 rookie wins out of 3 now. He's having a fantastic start to his 2nd season in the championship, and he had his 2nd top 10 finish of the season yesterday to be the top placed rookie. So he's on 105 points. Tom Callender is 2nd on 73. Maurice Schuring has dropped to 3rd on 66 points. The manufacturer standings being led by Mercedes, 112 points for them after a 1-2 finish yesterday. 2nd at Porsche on 84, and then Lamborghini 3rd on 60. The team championship is being led by Winward Racing, who have had podium finishes in all of the races so far. So Winward are leading with 84 points, but Manthey not far behind on 81, only 3 points between them, and Landgraf 3rd on 57. Landgraf, of course, the team that runs Lucas Auer, but they haven't had 2 drivers scoring big points so far this season, because their young 17-year-old Tom Callender is the other driver. He finished just outside the points yesterday. The pit stop challenge for the fastest pit stop in each race, that is being led by Landgraf, though. Kind of. They've got 6 points, and Schubert have also got 6 points, but they've twice had the fastest pit stop of the day. Saturday at Oschersleben, and yesterday for Lucas Auer, another lightning quick pit stop. Which has been really impressive to see, hasn't it? They haven't got them all right, and they didn't have such quick pit stops on Sunday at Oschersleben as they did on Saturday. So they'll want to correct that, Brian, because the pit stops in the race this afternoon, with 2 of them to come, are going to be critical in seeing who ends up on the podium, who ends up on the top step.
It certainly is. We've seen that many times. And if you walk up and down the pit lane early in the morning or late at night, it's almost non-stop. The sound of air guns going off as the teams are rehearsing. They're down the gym during the week. They're practicing during the week. Many times over. They take this very seriously because they know that races are won or lost in the pits. There's nobody in the pits at the moment. We've got every single car, all 24 cars, out on track. So we're going to get a bit of action very shortly. We're past the halfway point. We don't really have a benchmark time at the moment. I mean, Nicky Tim's 1:26.120. That's certainly going to be eclipsed as we ride on board with Jordan Pepper. But now building the heat. So the heat into the tyres, getting them into the windows. Of course, no tyre warmers allowed. So once the various build laps have been completed, it'll be into the push lap phase. The drivers will try and find a bit of space out on the track and then maximise the temperature in the tyres to try and get somewhere near the front of the grid.
And you get 3 sets of new tyres to last 2 qualifying sessions and 2 races at this particular circuit. So they might not be as quick as they were yesterday. If you qualify in the top 10, you have to start the race with the set of tyres in which you set your qualifying time as well. Last year, Kelvin van der Linde on Saturday qualified on pole with a 1:20.7. Thomas Preining qualified on pole on Sunday, slightly slower with a 1:20.85, and on a warmer day as well, 22 degrees for those qualifying sessions. But we had the qualifying lap record smashed yesterday by Lucas Auer, and the race lap record was smashed yesterday by Jules Gounon. So we could again well be into the 1:19s. We're on board then with Ian Nguyen, right up there in the championship, as I said, after his win and his point scoring finishes in all of the races so far. So the green machine building up tyre temperature, and Jordan Pepper has done the absolute best first sector so far, a personal best in the second sector, so he's building up the time, but we're not yet into really fast times. A 1:24.2 for Nguyen is the quickest that we've had so far. It'll be probably on the next lap that'll start to really pull the trigger, and then the one after that. So when we get down to the last 5 minutes of the session, that's when the times are really going to start to fly up. I'm intrigued to see how much more performance we're going to get from the Lamborghinis today with these slightly lighter cars that they've got. Because even though they were in the middle of the pack yesterday, Brian, actually the times were so close, they weren't that far away, were they?
That's been the theme over the last couple of days in free practice on Friday. Oh, team radio first.
Let's try to make a good gap to start. The next lap will be lap 4 and our first full pushing lap.
Oh, that's good information. So finding that space that we talked about. Oh, and there's not much space there. Anh Nguyen squeezing past Mauro Engel onto the dirt. So, yes, I was about to say free practice on Friday. The times were separated from the fastest to absolute slowest by a little over a second. And even in quali yesterday, it was less than 1.5 seconds covering the entire field. So we talk about cars being off the pace. Well, not really, not in the grand scale of things, but every thousandth counting here. And this was Anh Nguyen having to take a little bit of avoiding action. Mauro Engel just a little bit in the way there. I don't think there'll be any issues with that, but he will have cleaned the tyres up. So now, 6.5 minutes remaining. We're getting into the territory of push laps, and in fact, there is an investigation into Mauro Engel for potentially blocking Anh Nguyen. So the stewards are looking at that. So we'll let you know if there's any more updates on that.
Lamborghini's first, second, third and fourth at the moment, but the times aren't, as you say, yet flying. They're only into the, well, high 121s in terms of Jordan Pepper and low 122s in terms of Engstler, who's second, Powell, who's third, and Bortolotti, who is fourth. Ben Green is on a decent lap, or he was. He's backed off, hasn't he, in the third sector, but he had a personal best in sector 2 and absolute best in sector 1. Just backed off there. To correct myself from yesterday, I said it was his first point scoring finish in DTM yesterday, where he finished in 10th place. He did get 1 point in race 2 at Oschersleben. As Jack Aitken sets the absolute best first sector. So Jack in the number 14 Emil Frey Racing Ferrari 296. There he is, right on cue. Goes over the line now to end the second sector, and that's an absolute best as well. So this is the first hot lap, I would say. and it might not be the quickest lap, but it's the first one I think that's going to set a proper benchmark time. Marco Wittmann's just done a 1:21.5 to go second for now, but we've got to get into at least the low 120s, I think, to be threatening for pole position today, maybe even the 119s, but as I say, they might not get to the 119s because they won't necessarily have the freshest tyres for this qualifying session. Pepper goes through 120.6, Hours just on the absolute best first sector. Aitken comes through and sets a what? A 120.2. That's a decent lap. Will it be enough? Probably not, because Auer has done an absolute best second sector as well. So the championship leader, as he is now, makes his way into these final sequence of corners, right through turn 10, left through turn 11, then he'll wind it up from second gear here in just 75 kilometres an hour. In about 5 seconds time, he's going to be doing 255 kilometres an hour, and he'll be flat chat over the start-finish line. Jack Aitken, Thomas Preining and Luca Engstler, the top three at the moment. Preining's gone into second with a 120.4. Lucas Auer does a 119.968, though. We are in the 119s, and Auer at the moment is on course for a double pole.
So Jack Aitken in that second place. Max Powell briefly did go quickest in Sector 1, but now Jack Aitken, the quickest of anybody in Sector 1, a personal best in Sector 2. We're looking at Max Powell on the screen at the moment. Lives just down the road in Dresden. Out wide, out of turn 11, he comes out onto the pit straight.
Marco Wittmann's just gone to the top of the times, 119.904 by 64 thousandths of a second. He gets ahead of Auer, he gets ahead of Aitken, but Aitken's done the absolute best first sector. Max Powell goes fourth, 120.274, only 21 thousandths of a second away from being in the top three. But then Jordan Pepper behind him goes a bit quicker. He goes third with a 120.1. Here comes Jack Aitken, 119.837. He shaves another 67 thousandths of a second off. He was on pole here in 2023. He won here in 2023. So good stuff from the British driver, 119.837. Wittmann is second, Auer is third, Pepper is fourth, Vermeulen going well in fifth place. Here comes Thomas Preining. He was down a fraction in the middle sector, but the middle sector is the shorter one. The start and the end of the lap are the longer sectors, so if you can get this final run right, it'll be okay, and it is okay, but it's only sixth, 120.226.
So what a time from Jack Aitken. We're right on board with Lucas Auer, the man really on form at the moment. It was a 119.968, so that's significantly slower on that lap, but maybe just building up for one last push. Here comes Marco Wittmann, currently in second place. It was 119.904, that was his best. So out comes Wittmann across the line. He doesn't beat that, so this is a slower lap for him.
Pepper and Vermeulen fourth and fifth, separated by just 50 thousandths of a second, and then Preining's only 12 thousandths of a second behind them. Then Powell is only a few thousandths behind them as well. So, in fact, he's gone fourth quickest now because Powell's just put a slightly better lap in, a 120.111. So Max Powell onto the second row of the grid here. It's Aitken from Wittmann, from Auer, Powell fourth, Pepper fifth, Vermeulen sixth, Preining 7th, Rast 8th, Tim 9th, Green 10th. Vermeulen in the Ferrari pops himself just ahead of Powell, so he puts the Ferrari onto the second row of the grid now. But Rast's on a good lap here with 2 personal bests in the first 2 sectors.
Not such a good day for Ricardo Feller at the moment. Just seen him cross the line. He's in 16th place. Here comes Thomas Preining, personal best in Sector 1, Sector 2. What's his going to be? P3, 119.941. Mr. Consistency always there. Rene Rast, remember, he had a good qualifying yesterday. He'll be looking to start further up the grid than he is at the moment, 10th. So is this going to be an improvement on 10th place out onto the pit straight? I think it's going to be an improvement, but is it going to be by much? Up to 6th. So Rene Rast up a few more places onto the third row.
Yeah, 6th for him, 2nd for Wittmann. They have sorted out qualifying, certainly here at Lausitzring at Schubert, that's for sure. Aitken's already had 2 really good laps, so I'm not sure he's going to have any life left in the tyres for another one. But at the moment, he's on pole position, clinging on by 67 thousandths of a second from Marco Wittmann. Thomas Preining a 10th back, 3rd. Lucas Auer in 4th. Ben Green, absolute best first sector time. He's already been on pole once this year, but had the time taken away from him at Oschersleben. Ben Durst on the absolute best middle sector in the McLaren as well. Wow. Aitken goes through a slower lap as expected. He's got a minute to go. He's still got time for one more if he wants. Preining's on 2 personal bests as well. And he seems to be able to keep the speed going over several laps, doesn't he? And he needs to find 38 thousandths of a second to get ahead of Wittmann, get onto the front row of the grid. Green and Durr are going to be the next 2 to watch as well. When they come through, it'll be Ben Durr first in the McLaren, then Preining right behind him, then Green to come. At 9th place for Ben Durr, Preining third, 1:20.087, not quite as quick as his previous best. What about Ben Green with the onboard camera? He comes through, he goes 6th quickest. Wow. Good effort.
He lost a bit in the middle and the final sector, but that sector 1 was really nailed on. So on board with Ben Green into turn 1 and turn 2 again. There's a slow Aston Martin just getting out of the way. That's Gilles Magnus. Yeah, it is, isn't it?
It's got damage, or suspension damage.
What if he's thumped the wall, maybe coming out of turn 5, because there's certainly had some impact, hasn't it?
Yeah, Ferrari's 1st, 5th, 6th. Good session for Emil Frey Racing. With Aitken on provisional pole, and the checkered flag has come out, and I'm not sure anybody's going to have any pace to be able to do anything about Jack Aitken now, who is on course for his 6th career pole position. Bearing in mind he only came into the DTM a couple of years ago. He's been racking up the poles and the wins, hasn't he?
Ben Durr going out onto the gravel and then back in again. I think just avoiding action. I wonder what's happened to that Aston Martin. But as you say, don't think anybody's going to get near Jack Aitken's 1:19.837. Checkered flag is out, so any cars that are on a lap at the moment, it will count. But there's nobody setting the screen alight.
No, I think he's done it. Jack Aitken. And what's going to be his 34th race start in the DTM. He's going to be starting on pole position. Ben Durr, best ever qualifying, 5th quickest. Mega effort. He's been a revelation this year, hasn't he, in that new McLaren?
He has. His teammate Timo Glock still struggling with the handling of that car, down in 19th place. So Ben Durr will be delighted by that. But certainly big headlines for the Ferrari 296 for Emil Frey Racing. All 3 of their cars in the top 7.
Maro Engel's back in 13th at the moment. This is his last chance to improve. Qualifying has been good so far for the German. He comes through, gets a bit better, but it's only 9th place for Maro Engel. So work to do in the race to come. The Lamborghinis have generally gone a bit better, but not in the case of the Abt Lamborghinis. Nicky Tim is back in 17th. The reigning champion, Mirko Bortolotti, is back in 20th place. But it's been better for Powell, 10th, Enxler, 11th, and Pepper, 12th than it was yesterday. They're still not that far away from the top times, only about 3/10 away, but it puts you in the middle of the pack. It's so close, as Brian was saying. And what have we got? 9/10 of a second, covering the whole lot of them. With Nicolas Bert, 24th, but he's only 0.9 seconds away from this man, Jack Aitken, who is smiling broadly. You can see the smile, the glint in his eyes, because his 34th race in the DTM this afternoon. He is going to be starting from pole position. His 6th pole goes, first ever pole, his first ever win here at the Lausitzring in his first season in 2023. And Marco Wittmann back on the front row of the grid. And what's to come after this weekend, Brian? Zandvoort. Who won at Zandvoort last year? Marco Wittmann. It's looking good for him. So great effort by Schubert. They really turned it around with Marco second on the grid. Rennie fell back a bit in the end due to the improvements from Ben Durr and Ben Green in particular. So Rast 8th on the grid, but you know, we'd have taken that last year as well, wouldn't he? So it's not too bad. And Thomas Preining always there, 3rd quickest. So Aitken, Wittmann, the front row. Preining and Auer will be on row 2. Ben Durr and Thierry Vermeulen, 2 young charges, will be on row 3. Ben Green will find himself alongside the 3-time champion Rennie Rast on the 4th row of the grid. Maro Engel will be 9th, and alongside him on the 5th row of the grid. A good effort from the Powell Motorsport team after their retirement yesterday. Their issue with the wheel nut in the pit stop as well. They'll complete the top 10. Great qualifying, that.
Don't talk to the bus driver during quali. We didn't for Thomas Preining. He brought it home for P3.
So Jack Aitken, 0.67 seconds clear of Marco Wittmann. And then 2 Austrian drivers, 3rd and 4th, Thomas Preining and Lucas Auer. Ben Durr and Thierry Vermeulen next up in 5th and 6th. Ben Green 7th. And then Rennie Rast, Maro Engel and Max Powell will start 8th, 9th and 10th. And only just over a quarter of a second splitting those 3 drivers. Ben Green with his best qualifying so far, if you discount, of course, the pole that he lost at Oschersleben. Luca Enxler 11th, Jordan Pepper 4th in the championship, 12th. Jules Gounon, didn't see much of him in that qualifying session. He's 2nd in the championship, but he's only 13th. And then we've got 14th place Gilles Magnus with his best qualifying. The best qualifying so far for Come To You Racing. They'll be very pleased with that, won't they? Only 0.4 of a second away from pole position. Let's get some reaction then down in the pit lane with Verena.
And I'm here with Jack Aitken. Well, congratulations, Mr. Pole. Yesterday you were 7th in the race, today pole, so hopefully you can get your victory today. It's going to be tough, I know, but it's looking good.
Yeah, all the usual stuff. But for now, just super happy with how the quali went. Obviously, I like this track. We had success in the past. Yesterday was a bit tough, but we knew we were kind of in the mix. We made a few small changes, and the car was just, really feeling really nice. And I put the lap in the right moment when the tire was coming just in the peak. And it was one of those sessions where everything was going nice. So it was really a joy to drive. And so big thanks to Emil Frey for the work. And of course, we go to the race trying to win. We saw yesterday that it's hard to race with the others. I was there in the pack, but could not pass. So let's see. Hopefully it works in our favor today.
Crossing our fingers. Thank you so much, Jack. Back to you.
Well, Jack started the weekend well when he ran the charity running race, 2 laps around the circuit and won the race and beat all the other DTM drivers. He said then that might be the only win I get this weekend. Maybe not, Jack. Maybe there's another proper win coming your way this afternoon. The British driver, whose dad hails from Scotland, is a keen golfer, mom from South Korea, made it all the way up to Formula One as a reserve driver, actually subbed and raced in the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, coming up through karting with the likes of George Russell. He's a superstar driver. It's great to have him, and he's on pole. Let's get more from Verena.
And Marco Wittmann is starting in P2 in the race. Congratulations, what a great qualifying. Yesterday you were 5th, so hopefully in the race today you can improve that.
Well, definitely the starting position is better than yesterday. Yesterday we gained 2 positions in the race. So all in all, a very good progress over the weekend. Friday we still struggled a bit. We made good progress in setup changes, and even from yesterday to today, overnight, we did another tweak on the car, and very, very happy. Thanks to my boys. They did a great job at Schubert. Obviously, it feels good, to start back in a front row. It's been a long time, especially in DTM, to start that much in front. So yeah, now just looking forward to the race. Hopefully a clean, good race, and then from there we can fight.
All right, well, thank you so much, Marco. Back to you.
Thanks, Verena. Yeah, he had one decent qualifying last year where he was 3rd on the grid in 2024 at the Nürburgring, but averaged 14th last year because all the Schubert BMW struggled in qualifying. So it has been a while since he's been on the front row of the grid. Marco Wittmann, he did, as I say, win last year, though, at Zandvoort. He nearly won, didn't he, from the back of the field or towards the back of the field at Oschersleben. But he's got a real chance. Jack Aitken it is, though. That has put the Ferrari on pole position for the race this afternoon. From Brian and me in the commentary box, that's it for now. And back to Verena.
And I'm here with Thomas Preining. Yesterday you were 6th. Today you're starting in P3. So hopefully it's going to be a fantastic race for you, ending up on the podium.
Yes, thank you. It's been honestly a perfect session for us. I think I really nailed the lap and the car was like on rails. So big thanks to the team. I think we really hit the sweet spot today. Unfortunately, not enough for pole, but we'll fight from here.
I'm sure you'll fight hard and hopefully you'll nail the race as well. Thank you so much, Thomas. And that was the qualifying. And now, of course, we're looking forward to the race later on this afternoon. Let's see what the weather is going to do. And yeah, we're excited, looking forward to it. Now here are the highlights, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.